Hey everyone. So today we're going to consider about fairness in media, see if it's fair or not. So unfortunately, there's no 100% way to figure out whether a news source is fair or whether it's biased. A lot of media sources we wish were that easy to understand, but oftentimes they're not. So instead, what we can do is consider each article, each piece of content, and put it through this fair machine to understand whether an article is biased, whether it's fair, or oftentimes if it's a mix of the two. So, one of the first things that we need to consider is the word choice that's used in a story, whether the story presents the facts or whether it's trying to give you certain judgments. Right? Look for loaded adjectives or verbs, especially. Right? If I say, I discouraged a student from taking film study, that would be one thing. If I said, I blasted film study students, that might be another. So be careful, though, of adjectives, of verbs that are used for language. So that's word choice. Leading language gives you a judgment before the information. Here's some examples. The superintendent's pet project failed spectacularly less than 3 months after she shoved it through the approval process. Right? Pet project and shoved, those are very, very loaded words. So that's our first step, is understanding the word choice. The second step then is looking at the actual context, whether the story provides for the big picture or just a very small part that's going on. We're looking for things like comparisons to other situations. We want explanations about sources. What makes the source trustworthy or not? We're looking for facts, data. We're looking for numbers. Now, numbers as well can be manipulated, but if you have specific facts, then it means it can be verifiable or falsifiable as well. So here's an example of that. Prior to accepting the role as city transportation manager, Smith received a PhD in urban planning and ran a private limo company. That gives us some broader context, some broader understanding for the story. Finally, we want to consider counterpoints. A story should understand multiple perspectives, not just one. For that, we're looking for counterarguments or key claims, conclusions. We're looking for responses, not just a single side of the story. And there's an example there. So after we consider these three steps, the word choice, the context, and the counterpoints, hopefully we'll be able to understand where a certain news article fits. Because unfortunately, no single source is going to be 100% factual and fair or 100% biased. Maybe 100% biased with some. So let's take a look here at the example at the very top. You've probably heard about the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Right here are some of the basic facts that could be agreed on. A girl named Goldilocks went into a house belonging to the Bear family. She tasted their bowls of breakfast porridge and ate all of Baby Bear's portion. She tested 3 chairs in the house and broke the Baby Bear's chair. She tested the 3 beds in the house and fell asleep in the Baby Bear's bed. The Bear family returned home and found Goldilocks in the Baby Bear's bed. Goldilocks woke up and ran out of the house. So from these, we want to imagine we're reading a news report about the story, and here's some headlines we want to consider whether they're fair or not. So if a headline uses leading language, we're going to use a yellow highlighter. So this first one, for example, spoiled little girl trashes family home and flees. This one uses leading language, okay, which is not a very good thing. So we're going to go ahead and highlight it, I guess, with yellow right here. Beautiful. Specifically the parts that are leading language. Spoiled, trashes, fleas, I suppose, is okay. But the other ones are pretty biased. Okay? Let's take a look down here. Bear family. We never meant to frighten unexpected visitor. So we want to consider whether that's providing us with contextual information or whether it's providing us with a counterpoint. In this case, it's going to be a counterpoint. So we're going to use maybe a green highlighter right here to display which parts are going on. So right here, it's a counterpoint. It's the bear's side of the story instead of Goldilocks. And that's giving us a better sense of what actually happened. Now finally, we're going to use a orange one here. Oops. I'm going to use a orange highlighter. Down here, story of youth home entry fits into pattern of daytime robberies. This pattern of daytime robberies, that's giving us a better understanding that maybe, well, like it says, there's a pattern. Okay, so we're going to understand here. So what I want you to do is look at the other headlines and decide what part is being used. Is it leading language in yellow? Is it giving us a counterpoint in green? Or is it giving us a broader context in orange or red, whatever color that is? So that's your first step. Then also what you're going to do is read a news story. It can be about politics. It can be about something else as well. And like the example down here, you're going to decide whether the story is fair or not. And tell me what helps you to decide whether it was fair or not. So here's a couple stories maybe I found. This one, Republicans say Trump impeachment probe is happening in secret, but 47 lawmakers have access. Okay, so right here, even in the headline, it gives us a broader context. It tells us a little bit more to the story than necessarily what the lawmakers were telling us. And that's from USA Today, which is mostly a pretty balanced site. Now this one over here, The New Republic, is a left-leaning media group. And this one right here, it mentions squirm. Well, that's some leading language right there. Highly emotional language. Or it says right here, the squad's frequent Twitter smackdowns. Well, that's also some leading language that's utilized. So pretty different than just sticking to the facts. So what you're going to do for the assignment, pick a news story, and go ahead and summarize it, answer some questions, a little bit about it, and about fairness in media, and then turn it in.